Hello everybody, welcome to AstroEdify. Today we are going to talk about a really important topic, that is Ascension, which is going to happen next year from 20th March 2025. It will be the end of Kaliyuga, the descending cycle of Kaliyuga, and it will be a very important cosmic event which will be creating a pathway for the next 1200 years transition period. What do I mean by this? All what I am saying so far, I'll explain. Be with me. But understand that so far I have made many videos upon astrology and explaining various concepts about that, how to see your chart and everything. By far, this is the most important video which I am doing right now. This topic is very important because whether you know astrology or not, you will still it will be my effort that you still understand and know easily what we are going to talk about, because its impact will be on a global scale. It will be ultimately beneficial but initially destructive, and what kind of results, good and bad both, we can expect on a global scale, which will ultimately impact the individual, no doubt, that we will see. And after knowing these things, if you are able to deduce that okay, this is what is expected, that will help you to take well informed decisions for your life later. So that will be my effort. So let's start this video. If you want to book a consultation for yourself, you can go on this website. The link is shown in description. So first of all, we are going to talk about the Ascension part. So Ascension, in this case, you might have heard about this term. There are many videos and many content available about this. But before understanding what Ascension is, there is a concept behind it. I want to discuss that, and automatically you will know what Ascension means truly. So understand first of all that we see the cosmic time cycle. Okay, so cosmic time cycle is taken is known as Yugas. It's divided in 4 Yugas. So the 4 Yugas means the 4 time periods which are starting, means there are 4 total Yugas, starting from Satyuga, then Treta, then Dwapar, and then Kaliyuga respectively. Right now we are in Kaliyuga, and the difference in 4 Yugas is that the Satyuga is the Yuga which has the highest level of self-awareness among people, dharma among people. Dharma means righteousness, morality, level of consciousness, and also it is the period or time period which is the pinnacle of technological advancement. So that is Satyuga. Now it gradually descends into lower streams. So from Satyuga the time starts and it gradually descends into Treta, then Dwapar, then Kaliyuga. Now in descension what happens, that the level of dharma, the level of self-awareness, the level of consciousness in humans start to go down, and at the same time the development, the societies, the civilizations which used to be very good and potent and prosperous, they also start to go down. And right now we are in Kaliyuga. So Kaliyuga is the worst Yuga possible out of all 4, because the levels of consciousness, the dharma, the righteousness, morality are rock bottom, and the level of technology and everything what has been there right now, no doubt we are going to grow ahead, but that is also at the lowest stage compared to other yugas. Now to further understand this, the total cycle of these 4 yugas is of 25,800 years, and it includes periods of ascending and descending cycles in each yuga, along with transition periods between the 2 yugas. So the time is not like that the change does not happen immediately. It is gradual, like day and night. So the moment day is ended, night does not come immediately. So there is dusk and dawn in between. a phase shift is going on, and then the night comes, and same day that same thing, that night ends and the day comes. So the season changes. It's not like that winter comes all of a sudden. You go through autumn after summer, and then you go through winters. So that is how it works. Similarly, in terms of Yuga cycle, the descension does not happen immediately. It happens gradually. The change happens, and that change is known as transition period between one Yuga to another. And the ascending and descending cycles are there in all the Yugas. So the descending means that the level of consciousness, the dharma, the technology, the societies which are very prosperous and good, they are going down and reaching to the rock bottom, and then they are moving upwards. After reaching the rock bottom to its most absolute negative state, then it starts to move upwards. That is known as the ascending cycle. So ascending cycle, then so what happens that starting Satyuga, you descend to Treta, you descend to Dwapar, you descend to Kaliyuga, and then start ascending again. So from Kaliyuga again you start to ascend to Dwapar, then Treta, then finally Satyuga again. This is how the overall circle of Yuga cycle is made, and this total cycle is consisted of 25,800 years. There has been a major misconception that people think that, okay, people who are familiar with Hindu tradition, they think that Kaliyuga is of 4,32,000 years and we are just in the initial stages, and other yugas are much more greater in lakhs of years. It's like 8,64,000 years of Dwapar, and the number escalates. So that is a very big number. First of all, that is wrong. It's not right. And the terminology actually that has been used is Divya Varsha, and in the Puranas, from where we get this figure, they use 12,000 years as Divya Varshas. So Divya means they have taken it unnecessarily, they have multiplied it by 360. So that does not come out to be true. And if you want to go in depth about this part, you can refer to certain good authority text. One is the book known as The Holy Science, written by Sri Yukteswar Giri. He was the guru of Paramhansa Yogananda. And another, there is a book by Mr. Abhijeet Mishra that is known as The Yuga Shift. And there also he has come to a proper analysis from various civilizations, not just Hindu civilization, many civilizations across the world, ancient, and coming to a conclusion that the actual number of the Yuga entire cycle is 25,800 and not that big figure which is approximately 43 million years, not like that. So in this case, you can, for more detail and everything, you can read those books to gather more information in depth, but that is not our main concern. Our main concern is later the ascension part and what will be the result. So I'm just briefly discussing this. Now, these time periods, the transition periods which I said, they are very chaotic because they have to pave the way for upcoming Yuga cycle. It's like that the previous civilization will end in order to create the way for the new one to come up. So that kind of thing. And the Yuga cycle is same as Earth's precession cycle. So Earth's precession cycle is like the equinox cycle which Earth has. That is the same as Yuga cycle. So on a cosmic scale, what happens that the position of the vernal equinox or the spring equinox, sun, relative to the fixed stars which are there in the zodiac, changes very slowly at the rate of 1 degree every 71.6 years, completing the entire cycle of 360 degrees around the zodiac in about 25,800 years. And in the present time, present epoch, the vernal equinox sun is very close to the beginning of Pisces constellation. It is in Pisces. We'll see the chart and you will see that sun is in Pisces. Near its boundary with its Aquarius constellation. So very soon what will happen, that in a few decades the vernal equinox sun will appear in Aquarius, changing the sign from Pisces, and in this manner it moves from one point to another slowly and shifts its position relative to the fixed stars of the zodiac at the rate of 1 degree every 71.67 years. Then this time period, like, it takes approximately 2150 years in each constellation for sun to complete that cycle, and this is known as the astrological age. So human civilization lives through 12 astrological ages in course of 25,800 year precession cycle. Now if you see here, this is the picture which depicts this, that sun is moving through the zodiac from various fixed stars, from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and further up to Pisces, and this is the Earth's precession cycle, and this is the Yuga cycle. So Yuga means that each Yuga has a particular theme, and it brings that part on the global scale. The Earth will have that kind of results upon it. The civilizations will be of such nature which will be determined by those particular astrological ages. Now this you can see, this is another image which shows that the Yuga cycle is 25,800 years, and each Yuga is of particular timeline, and in between there are phases of like 300 years which show the period of transition, and there are two particular time periods of 1200 years between Satyuga and Treta and Kaliyug and Dwapar, which show big transition phase. Right now we are at that stage of 1200 year transition. So like I said, you can refer to the books which I mentioned. You will get to know much more in detail about them. But this picture depicts that at this point, the next year from 2025 March, we are going to enter that period of 1200 year of transition, and this will be very, very important for all of us globally. Now on 20th March 2025, the Kaliyuga and the entire descending cycle. In Kaliyuga, what happens? The level of consciousness, like I said, goes down. It will start to come to an end. And what happens and we will enter a long period of transition of nearly 1200 years, during which you will see upon the planet that there will be dramatic changes in civilizations, in natural orders which have been there so far, and it starts to create outlines of a new civilization gradually, which not only is very technologically advanced, but also it has people who are of higher level of self-awareness and have morality and righteousness in them. Because after Kaliyuga 1200 years period ends, the Dwapar starts. So the environment, and also the environment will also restore to its original pristine state, and the interdimensional gateways may open up, revealing to us a reality that we may have forgotten so far, and understand that there are many things still beyond our imagination which seems unlikely, but they will happen. Like for example, just to understand that, like 30-40 years ago, we wouldn't have expected the age of internet and social media and AI and everything, and now we are living in this age. If you would have been asked about this kind of thing later, just 30 years ago, you would have not even imagined how the things would be right now, but they are there. So in the same way, there are many things which are beyond our capacity to imagine, yet they will come. So these things can be seen, and most likely the events will happen aggressively in the next 20 years. But yes, overall 1200 year period transition will be seen. Now we will talk about the chart here, which will show you that how the changes will happen, what kind of good and bad results we can expect. And I'll try my best to make you understand that through the help of planets, that why such things can be expected. So now you can see this chart on your screen. This is the chart of Ascension, the date which I said that it will move forward. The phase will start. So it is falling on 20th March 2025 at 14:31 time here in India. So if you look at, then the chart falls in Cancer ascendant, okay? And there are two major planets which are governing this horoscope. One is Ketu and one is Saturn. Now, why Saturn? Because ascendant is in Saturn's nakshatra. Ascendant Lord Moon is in Saturn's nakshatra and aspected by Saturn. And Sun, which is falling in Pisces, is also in Saturn's nakshatra, Uttar Bhadrapada. So, Sun, Moon and Ascendant Lord as well as the Ascendant, they govern the inherent fundamental strength of the chart. All of them are influenced by Saturn. And if you look at the Dasha, Saturn's Dasha, it will commence in Saturn's Dasha. So, Saturn has majority influence, and for Cancer ascendant, Saturn is not considered a good planet. And further, if you look at, Saturn is 8th Lord in the 8th house. And 8th house, Saturn and Aquarius, and particularly the nakshatra of Purva Bhadrapada, they represent big changes, big transformations, big upheavals, and any kind of destruction of the old rotten societies, which later on pave the way for new good civilizations or societies to come up. So that is what Saturn is. Now, next planet which will have tremendous influence is Ketu, because if you look at Sun, like I said, the equinox position, Sun is associated with Rahu Ketu, and Ketu is aspected. Ketu here becomes very powerful, very important, because it is under the influence of 6 planets. So Sun, Venus, Mercury, Rahu, Jupiter and Mars, all of them are aspecting Ketu. And Ketu becomes very significant in this chart. Next point is that Moon is also debilitated and it is in Scorpio. So Scorpio is ruled by Mars as well as Ketu. So in this case, if you see, Saturn and Ketu play a very significant role in terms of the events which will happen. Now see that Saturn and Ketu are not easy planets. They are planets of many things. They are planets of changes, transformations, destruction, suffering, sorrow, any miseries, troubles, any big destructive events. But they are also the planets of spirituality, detachment, liberation, emancipation, knowledge, dharma, and self-awareness, tapasya, renunciation, all these things. And they also become very significant for spiritual upliftment of the person. So what happens here, that both these results, that the negative part I'll discuss, but the positive part on a spiritual part will also be seen during this phase. It will come through negative life experiences or big global negative experiences in majority population. But yes, that will be a theme of Saturn and Ketu in the upcoming timeline. Now I'll take on to the good results first, and then we will discuss the negative results of these planets which you can expect in this transition period. So first, like I said, that the good result that we will see is high rise in technology, science, engineering, with tremendous growth in all areas or aspects of scientific streams, whether it is physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, all kinds of engineering areas, and even medicine or healthcare. Everywhere you will see tremendous rise in the knowledge, in the research, innovation, and the technology part. Next point will be that and the reason is simple, because see that Moon in Scorpio, Saturn in 8th house, and all planets in 9th house, and Ketu, they represent research, development, analysis. 5th and 9th house are intellect, education, wisdom, learning, knowledge, and they create, and Moon and Venus are creativity also. So they create a lot of new ideas, a lot of technological advancements, a lot of scientific research which uplifts the global standard of living, so as to say. So that kind of thing can be seen. And next point will be that particularly tremendous growth in high speed communication, because Venus, Mercury and third house Ketu, third house is communication, and in speech Venus, Mercury represent that, Rahu represents that. So it can reflect that high speed communications, like right now we are in the day of in the age of internet and everything. So much more faster as compared to right now, that can be seen. And not only on the level of planet, like right now we can connect on the level of planet with each other, no matter where you are. But I'm talking about that the planet, the international, intercontinental communication will become more efficient as of now, but it will also create more good advanced technology to go for interplanetary communication, and also communication beyond the solar system, and some part of galactic communication. I'm not talking about intergalactic. That will not happen till Dwapar, I don't think so. Next point here is high speed transportation. That can be seen. High speed transportation, right now we have a lot of connectivity, but it will become more efficient, more strong. And the time period which is required, let's suppose right now, to travel from one place to another will reduce significantly, like in few hours, like it can be reduced to even 1 hour or some minutes. As we progress, that kind of technology can be seen, and it will also pave the way for long distance space travel. So space travel can become common for exploration as well as tourism, both of them. Then big advancements in the field of robotics, AI, AR, VR, human AI interfaces, and tremendous and remarkable research and development in the field of medicine and healthcare, vaccines, cures or treatments for currently incurable diseases. Like cancers are there, genetic diseases are there, many diseases are there which are not curable as of now. We don't have any significant treatments also which reduce the mortality rate in such kind of diseases. So that kind of cutting edge research or modern treatments or cures can be found during this period, which ultimately expands the lifespan of normal human being. So we can and it is expected that as we close the transition period after in the gradual 1200-year period, the average life expectancy, if it goes beyond 125 years, it will not be a surprise. And next point will also be that it can show the new knowledge in other streams. Like I said, new knowledge in physics, new knowledge in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, new knowledge about universes which we have not gathered so far. So that kind of new information can come up. We are exploring, but getting some proper information that can also be seen. New theories which are actually going to be very significant in those particular streams or scientific subjects can be expected. Then here, and if also it's like if we get any if we search or explore or we contact any alien life or civilization, it is possible during this time period. Like we have been exploring and searching for those things, we have been sending missions for those things, but so far we have not gathered anything significant. Nothing has happened. So if any proper breakthrough in that part happens, that will also be possible during this phase. Next will be a big change in electricity generation or dependency on fossil fuels, that will completely vanish over a period of time, and it gives rise to like a more energy efficient part of electricity generation and use of energy across the planet. So that can be seen, like use of or harnessing of the power of the star. So our star is sun. So we are able to harness maximum power of sun as much as possible. It will further expand in the further yugas, but as this transition period moves forward, in these 1200 years, we will see significant technologies which will also harness the power of the star, which easily what you will say completes the energy requirement of the entire planet. And other resources like hydrogen is possible, which can become a big resource for as a fuel. It can become that. And nuclear power becomes very important. So nuclear power increases, we become more efficient in that. More dependency on nuclear power can be seen for energy as well as transportation both. It can also lead to detection or creation of new chemical elements which have not been found yet, or they have not been created yet. So that can also be reflected. And less dependency, like I said, on coal, oil, gas, fossil fuels, or even iron. Less dependency that can be seen. New age reproduction processes can be seen during this period. Right now we have methodologies like IVF and all these things which were not there before, but I'm talking about much more important significant breakthroughs in reproductive processes as well, which where people have capacity, I'll say some technology available, where the reproduction can happen outside the body also. It is possible in this case, but like I said, it might seem imaginary, but understand that sometimes we lack that kind of capacity to imagine also. So these things are possible. And apart from that, like I said, big breakthroughs in other scientific medical researches which are also important for tackling the diseases which are already creating problems, or they are incurable as of now. Then next part, if you look at the change in education system, radical change in education system, but that will be positive gradually. Obviously it will come through I'll say initial destruction means that in order to create a new society, sometimes the old has to go away, old things have to go away, but it is a process. It does not happen in one day, it takes time. So Rahu, Ketu are that, 8th house Saturn is that, Moon in Scorpio is that, the big changes, and they are sitting in 5th and 9th house. So 5th and 9th house are education, knowledge, universities, colleges, degrees, they represent that as well. So initially there can be issues in education systems globally where people are just studying to be a workforce, not studying to be learning about deeply about a subject or become good human beings. But that kind of scenario changes over a period of time. That will also be seen. Now another part will be the spiritual awakening or upliftment. This is also very important because, like I said, Ketu and Saturn are playing very vital roles. So Ketu and Saturn are, it's like an age of Ketu and Saturn. You can call it as an age of cleansing. So that kind of thing will be reflected during this thematic time period of transition. And Ketu, Saturn, 9th house, Moon and Jupiter mutual aspect. 8th house is also the house of Moksha Trikona. So they become very important for spiritual awakening and spiritual upliftment of people. So in this case, what will happen over a period of time is that sudden rise, particularly see the people who are already in that state as of now, right now, they follow, they have interest, and they are religious or spirituals in some kind of way. So you will see that they will rise in self-awareness and spiritual inquiry and everything. But people who, let's suppose, who have the potential, they don't know that. The chart shows it. Let's suppose the chart shows it, and right now you may be the most materialistic guy possible, but still the chart is such way that your planets are such way that after one point of time it will create that kind of change, and it will force you to move towards the spiritual inquiry. So that for those people, as well as the people who are already in that state, the time period will be very supportive, and it will help them to move upwards. It will uplift them. So in this case, it becomes very significant that sudden rise in self-awareness, spiritual inquiry, existential crisis, people seeking meaning and purpose in life, in big interest and rise of yoga, occult sciences, jyotish, tantra, devotion and bhakti towards any form of God, religious means religious practices in proper form, not in the fundamentalist bad way. And the philosophies, they rise. Philosophical knowledge start to go inside people who are of such capacity. Then the intuition, the level of intuition, not everybody is intuitive, but people who have such placements, then this time shift which I am talking about, it is going to uplift the intuition capacity, the Kundalini Shakti. Rahu Ketu are Kundalini Shakti also. So it can show the upliftment in the chakras, activation of the chakras and moving upwards. And it leads to jnana, means wisdom, detachment, vairagya. And it also leads to the peace, anandam, gradually, ultimately. So like I said, if you already are in that spiritual pathway, then this age will become very beneficial for such people. And people who have such capacity, according to their charts, it will create certain life circumstances which will force you suddenly to have such transformation in your life, that kind of thing. So that will be and that transformation can come through anything. It can be sudden death or loss of closed ones, or any personal loss, any loss of reputation or career or anything, or it creates forced isolation, or any family issues or fear, anxiety, trauma, abuse or depression or suffering, anyway, in any capacity, any traumatic event which is creating suffering, but that suffering is necessary to break you from the shackles of materialistic, hedonistic approach, and it helps you to evaluate your life and focus on ultimate, that what is ultimately significant and relevant. So the change which I'm talking about on an individualistic scale, it will happen in a way that some or the other way, no matter how accomplished you are, life will tell you, teach you, throw you in circumstances where you will feel powerless, where you will feel insignificant, where you will feel helpless. And now you start to see that I don't have control upon the things at all. And from that moment on, the spiritual inquiry or journey starts. And that kind of thing will be seen prominently in majority population. It will start to rise, particularly for those people who have such placements in their own horoscope. And at the same time, people who are already in such pathway, spiritual pathway deeply, they will progress a lot. They will progress a lot. And apart from that, it can also show rise of genuine gurus, siddhas, mahatmas, sant, sadhus, who have knowledge, who have experience, who have reached that state to come out and help the society. Most of the time, the genuine people, the genuine liberated sant and mahatmas, they don't participate in worldly life. They stay away from society. So you don't get access to them. But that is also possible, that rise of such people can be seen during this time period, because spiritual life needs guidance. And who can guide? The guru can guide. And such people are rare. I'm not talking about hypocrite babas. I'm not talking about businessmen. I'm talking about people who are actually experienced in and established in that state of self-awareness all the time. I'm talking about them, and they are really rare. So that can be seen. Next, what you can expect is that the nature will start to heal on its own gradually. We have destructed the nature a lot, and we are going to destruct it a lot in upcoming time. But like I said, that it will start to heal on its own gradually only after destruction. Only after destruction, we have to hit the rock bottom, and then it starts to ascend. So after it starts to heal on its own, it starts to give back the powerful rare resources and secrets which the nature has hidden. So like in the previous yugas, which were much more better and in higher states than Kaliyuga, there were many things like to just give you an example, like for example, Sanjeevani booty was there in Treta Yuga. Rama needed that, and God Hanuman went to get that Sanjeevani booty for reviving Lakshman. So right now we don't have that. Nobody knows what Sanjeevani is, where it is, where that mountain is. Nobody knows. So, but it does not mean that it never existed. It was there. Gradually over a period of time, since human lost its humanity, became more animalistic, lost its dharma. So Prakriti means the nature also hid its resources. You are not capable and you are not deserving to have such resources, so nature hides it. And it gives back again the moment ascension happens. So that kind of thing can be seen, but that healing, that giving back will not happen before destruction of the current scenarios, and then later on upliftment. And hence it will lead to gradual rise in dharma and consciousness, self-awareness in the people over a period of time, because that is what it means. That ascension means ascension ultimately of what? The dharma, the consciousness. Technology and society, that will be already fine, but individually the person becomes more self-aware, more righteous, more positive, not neurotic and bad and angry and vindictive and jealous and resentful and negative, not like that. So that is what we are talking about. So these are obviously the good results which we discussed. Now we'll talk about the negative part, which we can see. Like I said, that before the collapse of the current society, which has reached its rock bottom, and it will reach in rock bottom state in a few years. The new I'll say scenario, the new society cannot come up. So the bad part, first of all, what happens, that we will rise materially, prosperity will be there, that is okay, but most population will also become blindly ignorant, deeply materialistic, selfish and hedonistic, and the level of consciousness and self-awareness it's already low, but it will reach its rock bottom, and that ultimately leads to adharma. Adharma means corruption, greed, manipulation, violence, anger, bitterness, sadism, jealousy, hurting each other, and immorality, all these things. And no doubt they are toxic, and they ultimately create destruction of the self as well as the people around you, and ultimately the societies. So there is going to be a big change which happens not only on the individualistic scale, but also on the global scale. So we can expect major problems, and ultimately wars can be expected, which can act as a medium for change or reset. So first of all, the negative part that we can expect is the major climate changes and on the level of nature. So see that here the water element is disturbed. So Cancer is water, moon is water, moon is debilitated in Scorpio, and all these planets are sitting in Pisces, that is also water, and they are not well placed. And Saturn and Ketu are planets of disturbance. Mars is also disturbance. So first of all, what we can see here is major climate changes, season changes, and high heat, like we are big, like long summers with bad, hot, very bad temperatures, and rise of sea, because water is disturbed. Pisces is sea, so rise of sea level, melting of permafrost regions, and it is already happening. Like in polar ice caps, they are already melting, and they never had vegetation. But you can see vegetation now in some areas, like in Antarctica, it was never there, but you can see it now. So that kind of thing is happening. The shift in climate is so huge across various countries across the globe that you see big weather changes, big natural calamities happening all the time, and things which were not evident before in those regions, which are seen right now there. That kind of thing is happening. So that can be reflected. And like I said, since this level of sea rises too much, cities and countries which are prone to submergence under the water, they will get submerged. Many cities or several countries or islands which have that threat to be submerged, they will get submerged. So we can expect loss or complete submergence of such cities or countries which are prone to such kind of submergence currently. Then rise in natural calamities of catastrophic proportions, that can be seen. So it can be anything: tsunamis, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, storms, volcanic eruptions, and even any kind of cosmic events, celestial parts like asteroids or meteors or comets coming and influencing the earth. I'm not talking about in a very bad way where everything is destroyed, not like that, but in a certain way where, yes, a major destruction is seen, and its impact is happening on the global scale, that can be seen. Then major changes in sea and marine life will be there, and sudden mishaps or accidents can be seen. That can also be reflected. So that is the first negative element which can be expected during this phase shift or the ascension period. Next will be that moon is your mind, moon is your emotions, feelings, and water signs, they represent emotions, feelings, and mind and everything. And Saturn and Ketu are disturbance, they create problems. Sun and Rahu also. So we can expect the rise in, see, mental health issues have already been on the rise in the past 15-20 years. Majority, in a very big majority, people who are in younger means kids also have that kind of thing we are going through right now. So it can escalate. So high fear, low self-esteem, anxiety, emotional instability, concentration is not there, poor capacity to think and poor capacity to take good decisions, addictions of any kind, whether it is any smoking, drinking, drugs, or gambling, or sex, or whatever, any kind of addictions, and no control upon the mind is there easily, and a person gets easily influenced. Any kind of big mental disorders, they can rise in common population, and it can also lead to gradually normalizing the abnormal destructive thinking or behavior among the society in the name of modernity, and understand that this situation, if you are already spiritual, aware, and focused, at least in some capacity, you are connected with religion or philosophy or spirituality in your life, it will be, even if you feel any of these things, you will be on the positive transformation, no doubt. But people who are immoral, hedonistic, shallow, fake, living in blind ignorance, they will ultimately be destroyed. No recourse for such people. They will become the reason for destruction also, for others and for themselves. But this is going to be inevitable. So this kind of thing can be seen, and it can also lead to the rise of such people in power who are also thinking in such negative patterns, which ultimately throw entire countries into instability, chaos, or wars or crisis. Because sun and moon are power. Sun is power, authority, leadership, government, presidents, and big leaders. And if the common population, and everybody is an individual, everybody is a human ultimately. So no matter how powerful you are, you will be influenced by these planets. So what happens is that and and it becomes logically evident also that rise of such people will also be there, who become the reason for destruction ultimately. Otherwise, the part of new ascension which I'm talking about, it won't come. It can only come when such people rise in power. They are playing with the lives of common people, playing with the countries, and throwing entire planet into wars. That kind of thing can be easily seen. And the issue mainly will be, another thing which can be expected is global level large scale economic crisis, which ultimately create major problems later. Why? Because sun here is second lord. Second house is the house of money and finances and economy. And Venus and Mercury are together. Now see that Venus is retrograde, Mercury is both of them are combust. Then moon is debilitated. So ultimately prosperity will be there, like he said. Ultimately prosperity will be there, rise in power, rise in material prosperity will be there, no doubt. But it comes after cleansing part, after certain initial change, big change. So that process of change shows certain destruction of the existing model or theme of the world which is going on right now, and then it leads to the upliftment and creation of a more better civilization which is quite prosperous and healthy on a scale of mind. So initially those issues we can come up, the large scale economic crisis, wars, trade wars mainly, countries imposing sanctions upon each other, and big time recessions, sudden stock market crashes, bank failures, currency devaluation, rise in taxes in the countries, bubble burst or unemployment rise, and majority companies, major big companies, sometimes they are experiencing big losses and going, sometimes I'll say cutting off a lot of workforce or going bankrupt or anything like that. And people losing money, people losing their savings, people losing their assets, jobs or businesses. So this can be easily expected, because first the money, the economy part will become major reason for the further destruction to come up. So in this case, if you are listening to me right now and you are watching this video, you can act in such a way where you try to protect yourself on a financial economic scale as much as possible. So that becomes that is why I'm making this video as well, so that at least people who are listening to this right now, they take certain actions which help them in order to survive and become more positive in the upcoming time periods. Then another point will be that it can lead to later on rise of such leaders which I mentioned, but leaders who are also craving desperately for world domination, countries craving for world domination. Simple reason is Ketu and Sun. Now Sun and Ketu, understand Ketu is in Sun's nakshatra. Now Ketu is also known as the flag, Dhwaja, and where you hoist the flag, at the top never at the bottom, at the top. So Ketu and Sun also represent big ambitions and being on the top no matter where you are. So it can lead to rise of such people in power who are desperate to change the world order and become the controller themselves. And hence it leads to disputes, territorial disputes, trade wars, economic problems, and wars ultimately. Wars can be seen. They can be nuclear wars also. It can be civil wars also. And understand, I'm talking about globally. And we have seen this in the recent times, like Russia and Ukraine are in war with each other. Israel is in war with Palestine. And many other countries are there which are going through internal rebellion. Sri Lanka is one of them. Bangladesh is one of them. And political instability, economic instability is seen globally. And this shows that in the upcoming timeline, it's not going to be a good scenario for any of us. And it can also show border disputes, collapse of governments, civil wars, revolutions, terrorism, big spying missions and espionage. And it can also show that big government secrets coming out, which were previously not known. And the wars ultimately can be over the control upon trade and world domination. And it can also start through the part of water. Water, like I said, all signs and planets, they represent water. So majority trade across the world happens through sea. So the sea part, if any country tries to control a particular important sea trade route and imposes any kind of troubles or forces there, then obviously it will be a big escalation for wars to be declared between countries. So this can also be seen, and in this case, high possibility that the wars can be nuclear as well. Sun and Ketu are nuclear wars. They represent that. It is possible in the long run. And in this case, I will also make another video later discussing each and every country, how they are, because this is the general thematic pattern of the ascending cycle of Kaliyuga, which we are discussing. So in the same way, each country has to also go through certain dashas, certain yugas, which show this, that how this will happen. So I will make a separate video upon that later, discussing majority countries which are going to play a very vital role and what kind of dashas they are going through and how we can expect certain changes or things which I am telling right now. But if you see that majority, two major countries which will play a very vital role in initiating these things will be China, number one, and second, USA. China will become the initiator, and I'll tell this later, but for a brief thing, I'll just tell that in the horoscope of China, Rahu Ketu, like they are falling here in Kanya and Pisces, means in Virgo and Pisces, they will fall on the natal axis of Rahu Ketu in China's horoscope. So China has Capricorn ascendant with Sun, Mercury, Ketu in the 9th house in Virgo and Rahu in Pisces. So this yoga, this axis will fall upon the natal part of China, and its moon and Mars are not well placed, they are bad, and Mars is anger, violence, death, destruction, power, domination, control, all these things. So it can become one of the major initiators for creating such problems, indirectly first and directly later. And next point will be USA, because for USA Leo ascendant is there. For Leo, this Sun, Venus, Mercury, because for who is the lord of Leo? Sun. So for USA, Sun is the ascendant lord, and if you look at the position of this Sun, Venus, Mercury, Rahu, it falls in the 8th house. 8th house of US, 8th house is the house of major changes, transformations, everything. So these two countries will play a very vital role. Apart from that, China, Japan and Israel will also play a very significant role in creating these things or impacting these things. India will also be impacted a lot. We will not be the initiators of anything, no doubt, but we will have a lot of influence and impact. We will be forced to act ultimately. So that kind of thing can be seen. And ultimately, like I said, it will lead to the change of world order finally. And these are the major themes which you can expect. The only thing which I'll suggest as of now to most of the people who are listening this right now will be that try to focus more on spiritual life as much as possible, because that is the best thing where Saturn and Ketu help a lot to the person. And if at all you have such kind of mentality or mindset, the more you associate yourself with philosophy, religion, devotion, yoga, means any higher being which you call as God, so it will bring that level of support and protection in these trying times which are going to be ahead. And parallelly, you can also take certain practical measures depending upon your current situation to plan further for how to act out during these timelines. I'll make another video later, like I discussed. So far, what was important, I told you, and this is all from my end. I thought that this is very important, and it is an important timeline which we are living in. So if I'm able to share certain information, I should do that. So that's all from my end. Hope you like this video. If you are new to my channel, subscribe below for more information, Facebook post and reels. You can connect on my Facebook page, Instagram and website. Their links are shown in description. Otherwise, we'll meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye and thank you.